Academy Award winner Denzel Washington. Devil in a Blue Dress.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm John, and today we're going to be talking about the 1995 neo-noir film directed by Carl Franklin and its new Criterion 4K Blu-ray release, and that's Devil in a Blue Dress. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, film reviews, TV reviews, video game reviews, and maybe some tech reviews, we do them all here on this channel, and nothing helps out more than by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Devil in the Blue Dress came out in September of 1995, directed by Carl Franklin, and stars Denzel Washington, Don Cheadle, Tom Sizemore, and Jennifer Beals. And Devil in a Blue Dress is your classic noir story. It starts out really simple with Tom Sizemore hiring Denzel Washington to just do a simple job. Just find this girl. Her boyfriend is Tom Carter. He's running for mayor. He's a very powerful man, and all he wants to do is simply just find his girlfriend. Now, we would think that's what this story is all about, but as we know in noir, it ends up in a web of just mystery, and this film ends nowhere where it began, just like a classic noir story should, and Carl Franklin did an amazing job directing this movie. Now, Carl Franklin has directed some other great films, more specifically one movie that I really want to see on a 4K Blu-ray, and that is One False Move, which is co-written by Billy Bob Thornton and stars Billy Bob Thornton. I would love to see that on 4K Blu-ray. Actually, there's a rumor that Kino Lorber is actually working on a 4K for that, because right now that film has no Blu-ray or 4K release. It's just the last thing I think we got of it was DVD, so we don't want to lose that film to the, to the sands of time. But another one that he directed that he's probably most famously known for is One True Thing, starring Meryl Streep. So he's made some great films. He was also an actor before he became a director, and I think he does a great job with this film. There's actually a documentary I was watching that's on the Criterion where he talks about how he wasn't trying to make specifically a neo-noir story. He even specifically leaned away from doing the lighting coming through the blinds. He was trying to make more of just a crime thriller, which he did with One False Move, and that was kind of his original idea, but he said let the noir just take care of itself, and you can see that totally on screen. This is just a mystery unraveling, and it really is an interesting story that you get just wrapped up in. It takes place in Los Angeles in 1948. It follows Denzel Washington. He's just lost his job, and like I said, he just simply is in need of money. It's a real simple premise. He needs money. He got laid off from working at the factory because, more than likely, because he's a black man who refused to just work overtime. He even says to the boss, you wouldn't do this to a white man. And the boss doesn't deny it. He just wants to go back to work. And the racial issues in this film that the movie brings up, really, especially for Los Angeles in 1948, I'm really glad that they brought them up in this movie. It's very much needed to tell the story. You can't just avoid those and act like black people weren't going through and struggling in 1948. And in the end, because I don't want to spoil this movie because it has a great mystery into it, and I really think that if you haven't seen Devil in a Blue Dress, you should. In the end, what it really does boil down to is kind of a simple ending, really, but it really is extremely powerful, and it's extremely poignant. Especially the way that it's unraveling is really incredible, and the way that Denzel portrays this character that just needs money and just simply is just trying to own a house. He's very proud of the house he owns. He's a World War II veteran, and it just means something to him that he owns something, and that is just a simple story. I think that's something that a lot of people in modern times do take for granted. Just owning something of yours is something to be proud of. And I took a lot away from that. I really did. And Denzel Washington is Denzel Washington. And Denzel Washington in the 90s is incredible. He's an amazing actor. This is only a few years removed from Philadelphia. It's only a few years before he won his Academy Award for Training Day. Denzel Washington is one of the greatest actors to ever walk planet Earth, bar none. He's amazing, and he's amazing in this film. And one thing that he did in this film that was very similar and reminiscent of Malcolm X is the narration. It actually kind of had a similar tone in the narration, which I thought was really cool because Denzel really is a very underrated narrator. People always talk about Morgan Freeman as one of the great narrators of all time, but Denzel, he never phones it in. Harrison Ford in the original cut of Blade Runner, you could just tell he didn't want to be there, and it's a completely phoned in narration performance, because narration can take away or help a film, and I do think that his narration definitely does help this film. Now, the shining star of this movie, I don't think it's a surprise, is Don Cheadle. He steals every single scene he is in. Right down to this. There's this one scene in the movie, and actually on the Criterion 4K, there's the screen test, and they show that he had this scene nailed right out of the gate where, him and Denzel and their friend, they were up drinking, and, Denzel's got to go out and do work, but he wakes up Don Shield to come with him, but Don Shield's still drunk, and he pulls a gun, puts it in his chest, and he doesn't know it's Denzel, and he's just talking, but... Oh, just such an incredible scene, and it's a laugh-out-loud scene, because for the most part, this movie is very serious, but that scene, and most scenes that Don Shield's in, he just steals the scene, and he is actually hysterical. The way he portrays this character is perfect. It might be one of my favorite Don Shield performances, so if you've ever only seen Don Shield in the MCU, and you're only used to him as playing Rhodey, I mean... you're missing out. Don Shield is an incredible actor. He really is. He takes his job very seriously, and he does such an amazing job in this movie. I loved him in this movie. It's amazing that in scenes with Denzel Washington, Don Shield can overpower him and prove that he is a great actor who can go toe-to-toe with one of the greats of all time. Maybe that's why we should consider Don Shield as one of the greats of all time, because in a movie like this, he does a phenomenal job. So one other performance I want to make note of is Maury Chakin. He's in a small role. I believe he's only in one or maybe two full scenes, and he plays the other character that's running for mayor against Tom Carter. And in this one small scene, he comes off as just so warm and like caring, and I mean, what we end up finding out, he's not, but the way he speaks, his delivery of his lines, it was very unique, and I really did appreciate it. I admired his performance, and to steal one scene, it's incredible. So basically what I'm hinting at is this movie is very well acted, very well directed, it's very well shot. This is a very good movie. If you've never seen Devil in a Blue Dress, if it's one of the Denzel Washington movies that you've never checked off your Denzel Washington list, I really do think you should check this one out. This is only the second time I've ever seen Devil in a Blue Dress, and I can tell you I'll definitely be watching it more. But we're also here to talk about this film's Criterion 4K Blu-ray release, so let's talk about that now. So Criterion just put out this 4K Blu-ray. Criterion is still having their sale going on with Barnes & Noble at this very recording, which is July 20th, 2022. So you got 11 more days to get this. And if you want to grab this, I believe it's going for $25. And that's a 4K Blu-ray from Criterion. So that's a big deal. But we're here to talk about what we think of this 4K Blu-ray. And let me just be honest, I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was the greatest looking 4K Blu-ray transfer I've ever seen, but I did think that it was very, very good. Now, as far as the visuals go for this film, it had a good amount of film grain still on there. I thought that it wasn't overpowering the scene. This has HDR10, Dolby Vision. It's shot in its original aspect ratio of 1.85, so it's definitely going to fill up your screen, and it looks beautiful. This is sunny LA in the 1940s, so you got that sun shining. There's a lot of shots in the early morning or late at night where the sun is setting. That's really going to pop off your screen, and they really put a lot of effort into this transfer, I think. So like I said, this is only the second time I've ever seen this film. I had only seen it before on an Amazon Prime stream, I believe like 2 years ago. So this is a huge upgrade from what I was seeing. You can totally tell they put a lot of effort into this, just like Criterion always does. I know I'm like beating a dead horse, but Criterion puts just so much effort into the restorations. They got Carl Franklin there to oversee and make sure that this is the film he wanted to, this is the film that he wanted you to see. And like I said, it's a noir film, but he specifically didn't want this to look like a noir film. Like, he was more inspired by films like Chinatown, where, that takes place in LA too, so you always have the sun. It doesn't have to be in those smoky, dark lit, but light shining through the window kind of scenes. It's more just like everything's kind of sunny, everything's kind of sweaty and hot. It kind of feels like the summer here in New York if you live in New York. It's just got that kind of tone to it, and I really think it worked perfectly, and I think that the colors really do shine through the screen. Now this isn't like a very beautiful color-popping movie. It's the 1940s, so you're getting a lot of like browns and grays and tans and more like that, because that's just the color tone of the time. We didn't start to get more colors until like the 70s, as far as like the clothes that people are wearing. Everything's more flat from that era, but it does work specifically for this movie, and the 4K really does make that pop. Now the audio, all you're gonna have is one choice. There is no way to change it or anything like that, and that is to have a DTS HD Master audio at 5.1, and I thought it was actually very good. It was making pretty good use of my rears. This isn't a very action-packed movie, if at all, other than the one scene at the end. For the most part, this is a very dialogue-driven film, just like most noirs are. You have one little action scene, and that's really all. But that action scene, it definitely did pop. It really sold how strong and powerful that scene needed to be. The audio was definitely there to match up with that, and I thought they did a great job with it. Now, as far as casing, this is your classic Criterion case. It's the clear case, the snap case. On the inside, you get a booklet, a very nice booklet with a really good paper stock. I gotta admit, it's very thick and nice. I did really enjoy that. You pull it out. I mean, there's no visuals on the inside, but you get 2 discs. One red, which is the 4K, and the black one is the regular Blu-ray. I think the original artwork is pretty good. I really do enjoy this poster. I think it's a lot better than the original movie poster, which I feel like doesn't sell it as a 1995 noir film. I think this is actually a better artwork than the original poster, so I think they did a good job with that. And then as we dive into the extras, there is no real retrospective or anything like that. There's a great interview on here, though, that they did for this with Carl Franklin and Don Shield, where they're just talking. They're talking like friends. You could tell, like, because Don Shield said that he knew Carl Franklin before the movie, so you could tell that these guys are just 2 buddies who are just getting back together and just wanted to talk with each other. And I think they did an awesome job by getting this, because you could just see that they're just bullshitting like 2 guys do. You know, there's a scene in there, there's a part in the interview where they're just talking about LA and how LA has changed since the 1940s, or how it's changed since, the last 40 years. They really lean into like their friendship, and they're just talking. They're talking about having Tom Sizemore on set and how cool he is, or working with Denzel. I really did think that was awesome. I think they did a great job with that interview. Would I have liked the documentary? Of course, I've said it a million times. I always like it when they put a documentary on here looking back at the making of the film and everything like that. But to have interviews with the director and one of its main stars, I really can't complain. I actually really did love the interview with the 2 of them. That's brand new for this Criterion set. So, usually I would come on here and complain that there is no documentary, but that interview really does help a lot. Plus, you also get the full screen test for Don Shield on this. And like I said, he stole every scene he's in. And it's just cool to see that he had this part nailed down before they started filming. Other than some little changes, he didn't have to do much. And that screen test is on here, so I would definitely check that out. So overall, as far as this Criterion 4K Blu-ray set goes, the film is awesome. The visuals are awesome. The audio is pretty good. It's not the greatest, but it's pretty good. The case is great. It's a standard Criterion case. And then as far as everything else goes, as far as extras, I really do think if you can grab this now before July ends, this is a perfect Criterion set for your collection. Now, if you have to pay full price, it might not be the greatest Criterion thing that they've ever put out, but I'm really glad that Criterion has paid attention to a classic film, a classic noir film, a forgotten Denzel film. I really think you guys should definitely grab this, and I would recommend it highly. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Please grab this, guys. But again, as I always say, even if you can't afford this, please try and find this on a streaming service. I rented it 2 years ago on Amazon Prime for $3.99. It's definitely worth that. It's just a great film overall, so it's a recommendation from me. And as always, guys, thanks for being a fan of Let's Talk. Nothing means more to us than you guys like, sharing, and subscribing, and telling all your friends.